Hi, welcome to episode 168 of The Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode and every episode's show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, and we have a Ravelry group called The Corner of Knit and Tea. If you haven't come and joined us, please do. Hi, how are you? It is Sunday, January 21st, and I am enjoying a briefly unseasonal kind of warm day. It is almost 55 here today, which is crazy considering we were below zero last weekend. It's not going to last for long because tomorrow we're going to get some rain and snow. We are due to get the storm system that is currently pounding Colorado. So we're supposed to get rain tonight into snow tomorrow. I was going to say it was a brief respite, but actually the rest of this week it's going to be in the 30s and 40s, which is cold and nice for wearing warmer clothes. But it is not the kind of cold where the second you go outside, it's so cold it makes you cry and then your tears freeze. So I am enjoying that. Today has been kind of a day to get a bunch of things done. My husband's birthday is tomorrow, so we are going out for a nice dinner tonight. It is what is called Restaurant Week here in Kansas City, where about 150 restaurants do a special prix-fixe menu that's usually 3 courses. And they all do different things, but so we're going to go out and take advantage of that to celebrate his birthday. His birthday, like I said, is actually tomorrow, but we like going out on the weekend night closest to, just because then we can be a little bit more leisurely. So I am getting a podcast done now. Unfortunately, my guess is you will probably not see this until tomorrow, Monday. That is because as of mid-morning, our internet mysteriously stopped working. I haven't called and reported it yet because just a little while later, I went out to get gas at the corner store and their internet was down as well. And so they weren't processing credit cards or anything like that. And so I suspect it's something in the neighborhood, not just our house. So I am going to call in and complain about it, but I'm not sure when our internet is going to be back. So I'm going to go ahead and process this video tonight, and then what I will do is upload it tomorrow while I'm at work. So if you don't see it tonight, you'll see it tomorrow. Of course, that's amusing that I'm telling you this because by the time you see this, one of the above will have happened, and it's not like you'll know beforehand. Anyway, let's get into things. First off, let's do tea. I am drinking, even though it's nice and warm out, I prepared a cup of hot tea. I am drinking cranberry spice hibiscus, which is technically one of the Republic of Tea's holiday teas. But since it's January and it's still, well, it's not cold today, but since it's January and it's still winter, I can still drink my Christmas teas. So it is cranberry, it is hibiscus, cinnamon, ginger, carob bits, apple bits, blackberry leaves, cardamom seeds, natural cranberry and cinnamon flavors, chicory root, pepper, cloves, cranberry bits, and star anise. So it is a herbal tea with lots of spice. You know I like my teas, but this is a good one if you like something a little spicy but you also want a decaf. So, and I am drinking this in my Loopy U Spring Fling mug from many, many moons ago, but it still tastes delicious and I love the mug. So yes, that is what I am drinking today. Because I promised I would last week, I will start this week with a little bit of news about the current Selfish craft along. Every month in January I host a Selfish craft along so that for the month after Christmas, when we've been crafting for everyone else, we can craft a little something for ourselves. We have many people participating. I hope you will think about participating. WIPs are eligible, but at least a portion of the crafting has to be done in January. All crafts apply. It can be knitting, spinning, crocheting, sewing, weaving. I think that's about it, but you can post your finished objects or progress pictures in the thread, and I will be doing 2 prizes. I went ahead and picked some things out of my stash. The first that I picked are 2 skeins of yarn. This is Juniper Moonshine Trios. and it is baby alpaca, wool, and silk. It is approximately a worsted weight, 197 yards per skein, 40% alpaca, 40% wool, 20% silk in purples. And I have 2 skeins, so this would make a lovely cowl or hat and mitts set. It would be sure to keep you nice and warm. Silk is great for warmth, so is alpaca. So those are one of the prizes, and you'll have to forgive me because it will probably come with a few bits of glitter in it. When I went and bought it, it came wrapped in tissue paper that had it's not like super fine glitter, it's like the hexagonal pieces of glitter, so they're pretty easily picked out, and I thought I picked out most of them, but every time I pick them up I have 1 or 2 more pieces, so you'll have to forgive that. They will not be shipped in that wrapping because I got rid of that today when I figured out it was rubbing off, but that is the first prize. The second prize is a bag of fiber. And hold on just a second because I see I had a couple stitches come off the needles. It is a bag of fiber from Southern Cross Fiber Club. It is from Deep Stash, October 2012. Polworth wool top called Trickster, and it is in oranges and blues. If you are a spinner, I will be sending you this fiber to spin. If you are not a spinner, I will spin this up for you, although you'll have to allow me another week or 2 after the prizes are announced to get it done and out to you. But so those are the 2 prizes for the Selfish Craft Along. That will end on January 31st, and I will draw prizes the first couple days of February. It turned out that I didn't get a finished objects thread open in time, and people already started posting them in the regular thread, so I will just be doing a random number generator on the finished object posts in that thread. So there's just 1 thread for this time. That's not normally how I do it, but I don't want to make people go and repost, and I don't want anyone to get left out in that. So that's what we're going to do. So, knitting this week, I finished my shawl. So this is the shawl that I was doing for review on the yarn. The yarn, again, is from Zen Yarn Garden, which is a wonderful Canadian company. And the yarn itself is the Superfine Fingering Base, which is 90% Superfine, Superwash Merino, 10% nylon. And it comes in 400 yard skeins. And then, again, like I explained in the last couple podcasts, I was working with their Magical Dye Pot series. And that is where they have taken, they have created 6 colorways in complementary and contrasting colors, so that theoretically you could buy all 6 of them and you could do a Find Your Fade shawl or some other fade project. What they did was they gave me my choice of 3 of the 6. They have 6 sets of colorways, and each set has 6 colorways, just to sort of make it optimally confusing. I picked from the C line, and I picked colors C1, C3, and C6. And so, like I said, that's the Magical Dye Pot series, and I picked 3 that I thought would go together well in a shawl. And the shawl I selected was Love You Baby by Suzanne Summer. It was written as a knit along with Hedgehog Fibers and Do You Knit, which is, finally I remember the exact name of the shop in New Jersey. I have met the owner before. I met her at Rhinebeck. The shop is called Do You Knit. It's U-E-W-E. And the shawl is called Love You Baby, E-U-E. And like I said, it's by Suzanne Summer. It's available for purchase on Ravelry. And it is a shawl that has a whole bunch of texture and fun in it. And so this is my shawl. So the first section is a brioche triangle, which I did with colors A and B. And then the second section is a garter stripe section with A and C. The third section is a textured stitch section with C. And the fourth section is a brioche section with B and C. So that is my big ass Love You Baby shawl. I chose not to block it because I generally don't feel like I need to block garter or brioche because it's so squishy, and I feel like if I block it, a lot of times when I lay it out, the water makes it heavy and it just never retains that same squish. So I decided not to block it. I could easily spot clean it or wash it if it gets dirty. It is enormous. It is slightly asymmetrical, but it works as a warm, cozy shawl, and the brioche traps lots of air. I only have really nice things to say about this yarn. It is super squishy and soft. It stands up to knitting and ripping well, and I am absolutely in love with the depth of color. You probably won't be able to see it on the camera. The speckled yarn is fine as speckled yarn goes. It was a white with red and purple on it. The two that I'm absolutely in love with are, I am in love with this orange, which ended up being kind of a blood orange. I don't think the camera does it justice. I will try and do it justice with the still camera. I count at least 4 or 5 colors in here. There's like a bright pumpkin orange, there's like a blood orange red, there's like a pale orange, there's a pinky coral, and it is just stunning in person. And the depth of color and all the different colors that they got in there were absolutely amazing. And I felt the same way about the sort of brown that I picked. I saw that it had some orange and purple in it, which was why I picked it, because I thought it would be really nice. I don't know how well you can see here, particularly in the textured stitch section. It is just stunning. It just looks almost opalescent or jewel toned in there. And it is just, it's beautiful. I mean, I can't even count the number of colors that I see in there. There's yellow and orange and pink and lavender and purple, and it's just, these were really, really beautiful and nice yarns to work with. This is the second time I have worked with Zen Yarn Garden. I did a Curious Handmade pattern not that long ago in 4 of their mini skeins, and the yarn was equally as pleasurable to work with, but these colors are just above and beyond. They're just beautiful. In that case, there were some semi-solids and a couple variegates, but this, the tonal colorways are just stunning. I can't say enough about it. I will try and get some good photos that will show you what it looks like, but I was very, very pleased. Again, I used C1, C3, and C6. Unfortunately, I can't tell you which color is which because I don't remember, but it was in the C series. You'll be able to figure it out if you wanted to purchase them. And I just happened to pick browns and purples and oranges because I feel like I've done a lot of other colorways. I know they had a couple that were blues and greens. They had one that was more reddish pink and purple. So there is something for everyone there. So that is... and the shawl itself was well written. I will say I ran out of color B. I sort of, if any of you follow me on Instagram, I posted a small photo of what was left. I had less than 30 grams of yarn left from over 300 grams. So it took right around 1,100 yards. And the B color, the orange color, I had to stop a couple rows early on the final section, and technically the final section was supposed to have an I-cord edging in that orange, and I ended up doing the I-cord edging in the brown. So I did actually run out a little bit, but I had enough yarn to sort of finish it off. The only other thing that I didn't do according to pattern is it called for the top to be finished off in I-cord as well, and I just decided I didn't want to do that. And I had already, I liked it the way it looked, and I don't mind the fact that the top is kind of a, it's kind of a cross between the orange and the white, but I don't really care. I like it the way it is. So that is my finished shawl. So I'll get some photos of that. There'll be a review, an official review up on the blog this week with lots more photos, hopefully some really color accurate ones so you can see how nice these yarns are. So that was that one. The second milestone that that's the only finished object for this week. The second milestone that I achieved is I am up to 64 squares on my mom's blanket, which means it is now more than halfway done. So I added the top row here and then the side row here. I'm basically building it out in a square. What I have done is I have added a lot more variegates. If you see, this section is very solid, and as we start to move over, I have been putting in a lot more variegates. Some of them, like this one. This was a new yarn that I purchased on one of our vacations this year. And I just wound it up so that I could do a square. I have a couple of those that are like that. I also found some more yarns, and some dear friends, watchers of the podcast, have sent me some yarns, so thank you. So I'm just trolling through my stash trying to find a whole bunch of things. I will probably allow myself to repeat at this point since I'm up to 8x8 squares. Some of the colors that I used in this, I only had enough for 1 square, so that will pretty much take care of that. But I do have some where I had enough for a 2nd square, and so I will probably move towards including those now. I said I was only going to bring it up milestones. The other thing I will note is while the ends are woven in at the edges, which I'm sure you can see all the ends for squares that are already enclosed are already woven in. So what I do is I do kind of the next part of the square, and then I wind all the ends in from the previous section, and then I get going. So hopefully I will be working on this more. I don't think I will finish it by mid-February because I still have what's 121 squares, so that is 61 minus, wait, let me think about this. 61 minus 4, no. Math in your head is hard. 46 plus 1, 45 more squares. So I don't know if I'll have it done in time because lately I've been working at 2 or 4 squares a weekend. That said, I will have it done for their anniversary in June. So, and the pattern that I'm using for this is roughly based off of Georgie Nicholson's memory blanket. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. For mine, I am doing 40 stitches, 20 on each side, with 2 sets of decreases. I just SSK and knit 2 together at the center stitch. And the other thing that's important is I am doing worsted weight or fingering held doubled. So that is my blanket. I like the worsted weight because although I love knitting fingering weight blankets, I like my blankets to have a little bit more weight, and they also work up faster if I do it in slightly heavier yarn. So that is that. The third and final project that has been getting attention this weekend is I guess I didn't bring the other one that I meant to bring. Oh well. Is my Advent blanket. And I'm trying to remember which color I was on last time when I talked to you. I have done either 2 or 3 minis since I spoke to you last. I did try and work on this week. And now that the shawl is done, this is going to get the bulk of my attention because I would really, really, really love to finish this by the end of the month. It may not happen, and if it doesn't, that's fine. I still have, I think, 3 or 4 more minis after this, and then I have the final color and possibly an I-cord border. But here we go. It looks much the same as it has in the past, although I put this blue and orange one on this week, and I know I put this, it looks gray, but I think technically it's greens, and it's supposed to be olive. It is like a fresh and juicy olive colorway, and then I can't remember what this one is. I think it's the Mine Suckin' design, but I have to look. All of these are from the Rainforest 13 collection, the Mine Suckin' design, or the Fresh and Juicy collection. So, and it is time for me to start working more ends in towards the center. They are all worked in. Towards the outer edge they are not, because I have not been doing that lately, but I will. And I have just started this. It's like a blue and a brown, and my plan is to work on that this evening, hopefully after we get home from dinner. So this will be my project for the rest of the month that I'm going to try and finish off. I only have one other project that I am planning to work on, and I meant to bring it with me and did not. I am going to make some socks for Roxy and Miles for Valentine's Day. I figure I basically have, well, let's see, today is the 21st, Valentine's Day is the 14th. I thought I would try and get it in the mail probably by the 7th or 8th, which tells me I have about 18 days and I should be able to knit 2 pairs of socks in 18 days. I chose the Love Socks by Devin Clement. I wanted to get the name in there. I am not really exactly going per pattern. The part of the pattern of the Love Socks that I really, really like is there is an intarsia heart on the heel flap. In the pattern that's on Ravelry, the pattern calls for stripy socks. I am not going to do stripy socks. For Roxy, I have a red and a pink, and I think I decided to go with a pink cuff, a pink heart on the heel, and a pink toe, and then do red socks for her. And then for Miles, I haven't decided which way I'm going to do it. I think, Well, for his, I'm going to do red and black, and what I can't decide is whether I'm going to do a black sock with red touches or a red sock with black touches. I might do a red sock with black touches, because that might be fun. In which case his will have black cuffs, black toes, and the black heart on the heel with red. So I will take some photos of those. I just wanted to let you know that is what I'm going to be casting on. That is the only thing I plan to cast on between now and the start of the Olympic Games. Because I am trying to clear the decks. I have a few other things that are already in progress that I might pick up if I run out of time, but I am planning to clear the decks before the Olympic Games. The other thing I have is I have my Christmas Eve cast-on socks. So my plan is to finish the Advent blanket, the Valentine's Day socks, and hopefully maybe even the Christmas Eve cast-on socks. I have about 3 weeks to do all that before February 9th, which is the opening of the Olympics. Last week I suggested that I might do a team Corner of Knit and Tea Ravellenics team for the celebration of the Olympics on Ravelry. And enough of you on the video and in the thread and among my friends said they would like that I went ahead and set it up. So you can check out the team thread on Ravelry. We are Team CKT 2018, and that is our project tag as well. I like to do things to be as maximally inclusive as possible. So here is how I am structuring my version of the Ravellenics team. You pick something that you want to do. Pick some kind of goal. It should be a little bit challenging for you, but doable. It should mean that you'll have to spend some time working on it. You can't just forget about it and finish it in the last day. But it should be something that is appropriate to your level of challenge. So it may be something small. It may be finishing a project. WIPs, actually there is a category for WIPs, so if you want to finish it, you can do that as well. Like normal, I would prefer you do some portion of the work, but if you have a shawl that you started months ago and it's still sitting on the needles and you still have a third to a half of it left, please feel free. Pick a goal for yourself. You don't necessarily have to announce that goal in the thread. This is the honor system. Pick a goal for yourself. Work on your project between the opening ceremony of the Olympics and the closing ceremony of the Olympics, and then post about it, chat about it, cheer your teammates on, and eventually post a picture of your finished goal. I have started the chat thread now. I'm just keeping it in the thread that I asked for interest in. All the rules are as such as they are in there. I am accepting all Ravelry crafts for this one, so there are a few that will not be included. Sewing is not included. I think all of the others are on Ravelry because Ravelry does allow for weaving, spinning, crocheting, and knitting. So that is... those are your choices. I think sewing is the only one that isn't really a thing in there. Although, to be honest, if you have a quilt you want to do, put that in there. I'm not going to take away from it. Now, those are my rules for participating. Just participate, do something. Show us, cheer other people on, post if you finished. I will be doing a couple prizes throughout the Olympics in my thread for chatting. Those will just be on all the posts in the thread. And then at the end of the Olympics, you know, within 24 to 48 hours, I will get a finished objects or finished goals thread up, basically a medaling thread. And that is if you finished the goal that you set for yourself. You may post a photo in there showing your finished goal. And then I will award at least one, if not two prizes from that thread, also by random number generator. Caveats, okay? I make the rules for my group. I do not make the rules for the Ravelry-wide event. If you are participating in the Ravelry-wide event of Ravellenics, you may have to do other things. In order to medal through the Ravellenics, you do have to declare your project before the Olympic Games starts, and you have to declare it on your project page. There are specific tags that you can use. If you have questions, you can ask me. I can try and help you. That is not a requirement for me, but that is a requirement if you want to participate in the event at large. And I believe if you want it to show a little Ravelry icon of a medal on your project page. Second of all, some teams have rules about double dipping. I do not. You can submit your project that you're working on for my group for any other team. However, they may require that you have to only work on a project for their team and not submit it anywhere else. If that is the case, you got to follow their rules to be eligible for their contests. Those are kind of the caveats. Make sure you know what you're doing if you're playing by other people's rules. If you just want to hang out in mine, then just play by my rules. So, and of course my rules are pretty simple. Join the group. You can't win a prize if you are not a member of the group, even if you decide to leave later, which I hope you won't, but you do need to be a member of the group to win a prize. And theoretically to participate, but just hit the join button. It'll be great. So that is, that's what I've got for you. I will just show you briefly. I did bring the fiber. I am in the middle of a larger spin and I have 6 of the 8 ounces spun. This is vintage Southern Cross fiber club colorway. It was a collaboration with Hello Yarn and it is called Wide Awake, and it has pinks and reds and oranges and blue, and it is coming along swimmingly. I noticed a bunch of you expressed interest in this color. If you are actually interested in purchasing this one, you'll have to let me know, because I had sort of planned to spin it up for myself and knit a foolproof cowl, but given the, I probably wouldn't even get to cast it on in the next couple months. So if this is something that you see that you are dying to have for yourself, you should let me know, because I will probably let it go. So that is what I've got for you today. Like I said, I don't know when exactly you will see this, but I hope soon. Happy crafting, happy January. I hope you're staying warm or cool, depending on which climate you're in. And I will say, as I always do, until I see you next time, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye!